Today I'm gonna show you how I made this clip. But not only that, I'll also break down many of my best edits and reveal how they are made step by step. Let's start with the first one. This edit looks complicated, but it's actually quite simple. All I did was replace every switch on the keyboard with one without a spring so it stayed in the pressed position, took a still frame of each individual key, and then played them in sequence to get the effect. By the way, the sound you hear came from me cleaning the keyboard one day and hearing this. It sounded really satisfying and inspired this exact edit. Later in the video, I'll show you an even better version of this, but first, here are a few more different cool edits. This one's a bit more complex, but it's one of my proudest edits. There are 3 main shots layered here. The animation of the user interface, a clip of me pretending to tap something, and the clip of me dropping the thing on the desk. I recreated the interface of the Apple Vision Pro in Photoshop using the Apple's developers materials as a reference, animated it in Premiere, and then combined the 3 clips with a ton of masking and frame-by-frame keyframe adjustments until I got it right. Oh, and as a cool Easter egg, I used a UI sound effect from the anime Sword Art Online because it was just more fun to do that, and quite a few of you have noticed, so I'm gonna keep doing it. By the way, this edit kinda inspired the next one. This is pretty simple. Everything is done with just basic Premiere Pro and Photoshop because I don't know how to use any advanced programs. I took a screenshot of my Windows desktop, created these color tiles in Photoshop, animated them in Premiere Pro, and exported the entire thing as a video. Then I simply spent 2 hours pretending to control them using my hand until I got the timing right. By the way, here's another variation of this trick. Moving on, this one was completely improvised and came out of nowhere. I was editing my desk setup in Photoshop to see how it would look if my desk tabletop was a bit bigger, and I saw this. And I was like, wait, I can make an edit out of this. So it's just 3 Photoshop layers moving around and masked on top of each other to get this effect. Many of my edits are just randomly improvised clips because it's just fun, like this next one. This edit came to life because I wanted the desk setup to appear out of nowhere in a cool way for the intro of this video. But I didn't feel like taking apart the entire thing and rebuilding it for the shot I had in mind, so here's what I did. I took a clip of the before and a clip of the after with a similar angle to mask them together in 2 layers. Then I filmed a separate shot of me dropping the ball and used it as a trigger for the setup to appear because before that it made no sense and it was completely random. For example, here's a test edit I made before this. It makes no sense and was fully improvised, which is why I discarded it, but the next edit was something I 100% pre-planned. This is easily one of my favorites because of how satisfying it is. I took a photo of every single layer of a 3D print and then combined them all into an epic time-lapse. My early tests looked decent, but I wanted to take this to the next level and somehow make the camera move during the time-lapse, which is only possible if you have motion control gear. In my case, I bought this Jeep specifically to help me make cooler shots like this. However, you don't need cool gear to make cool videos. They are nice to have if you know how to use them, but as you can see, almost all of my edits are just done with a tripod and creative editing. The reason why I bought this was because I kinda maxed out what I could do with static shots and wanted more options for the edit ideas I had in my notes. Whenever I see a cool shot in a movie, a YouTube video, an anime, or any piece of content, I write it down in a Notion doc because it gives me ideas for future videos to make better content for you, and it's really fun, so I just keep doing it. I've been using Notion for over 4 years now to plan everything from my videos to personal stuff, so I'm happy to mention that this video is sponsored by Notion. For every video I make, I have a research and notes page where I dump every random idea I come up with and keep them kinda organized using toggle tabs. Notion is an extremely powerful all-in-one productivity app that can almost do anything, but I keep it simple personally as a note-taking hub. There are a bunch of ways to organize different documents, but my 2 favorite and most used ones are always the toggles and the to-do lists. Once I gather enough ideas and sort them using the toggles, I'll create a detailed shot list of everything I need to film and include specific instructions for each. If you look at this edit, for example, the original concept was quite different. It was enough to remind me what I had in mind at the time when taking notes, but I almost always end up improvising when editing because the shots I had in mind never turned out exactly quite how I wanted, so it's just playing around and just improvise, adapt, overcome. or something like that. This next edit, for example, was way more overcomplicated than it needed to be in my notes, so I just ended up improvising and made a simple match cut. By the way, one extremely useful thing Notion has is that I can just brain dump a bunch of ideas and overthink as much as I want, and Notion AI will summarize and give me a recap of actionable steps to get things done quicker and be more productive. So in this case, overthinking is actually working in my favor because we have the AI to do the recap for me. This is my cleanest and most complete edit. I took everything I learned from the first clip and tried to take this one to the next level. That's just a poorly hand-drawn overlay of the keyboard to make it appear a bit more seamless, because without it, it's just a fade in, fade out, fade in, fade out, fade in, fade out. I purposefully had my hand on the edge so I could mask it over the individual frames of the keycaps appearing and disappearing, because that side was stop motion, and having the hands made it more like it was a live video and hide the fact that it's a stop motion. But here's a funny detail. If you look closely, I forgot that the shadow overlaps, but most people probably didn't notice, so it's fine. Now, this key press animation is different from the first edit. I didn't want to replace every switch like the first edit, so I had a genius idea. I used a tweezer to slowly push down each key from one side, masked that half, then do the same for the opposite side, and took 4 frames for different heights of the key being pressed. Then if you combine them together, you can hide the fact that it's been pressed on one side, so you get the clean frames for each, and that way you get this new effect with more frames in the middle, because the first edit only had top and down 2 frames, and now I have 4 more frames to make it a bit smoother. I wanted to do the entire keyboard, but after doing the test edit with just MKBHD, I just gave up because it took me like one entire day just to do that, and I was like, okay, I'm done. You'll never guess where I got the idea for this edit. I wanted to reveal the keyboard switches in a fun way and got this idea from a GPU benchmark, specifically the 3D Mark Time Spy benchmark I use when I try to overclock my GPU. There's a specific shot in which the character has a magnifying glass looking thing that looks into the past, and that inspired this idea. I just masked out the center of the magnifying glass to reveal the shot under it, which is the keyboard without the keycaps, so it gives this X-ray effect. Now, this is a good example of a few different techniques I used in combination to enhance a typically boring shot of a switch. I started by zooming in from the previous clip and carrying the momentum into the next clip to create a smoother transition between clips. Then, gradually slowed down as it approached the subject, reversed the clip with a speed ramp and bounced back and forth, but in the middle of the movement I used a match cut to the next shot, revealing the second subject, but because we are using the movement and the matching composition, it makes the cut way more seamless, so you get a seamless transition into the next shot, revealing the second switch. By the way, this one, for example, did require a specific piece of gear. The switches were very small, so to get a good on-camera presence, I bought this $1,000 Probe lens just to get this shot I wanted to include. It was not necessary because the edits and the tricks could have carried, but I wanted to make the best video and coolest video possible, and I 100% committed to it, so it was worth it. And it was a great tax write-off. These are just a few of the many crazy edits in my videos. There are a bunch of other cool edits I didn't include here, so feel free to watch them by clicking this video, for example, here, and make sure to check Notion using the link in the description. See you next time. Bye!